The evening began like a dream, one of those rare nights that feels suspended in time, glowing with laughter, warmth, and a shared sense of triumph. The house buzzed with energy, glasses clinking, conversations weaving through bursts of laughter, and soft candlelight casting playful shadows across the dining room walls. My wife, Elena, had just been promoted to senior partner at her law firm, a monumental achievement that had reignited a spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. She was radiant that night, her confidence magnetic, drawing every gaze in the room toward her. Pride swelled in my chest just watching her bask in the admiration of others. To celebrate, Elena had arranged a dinner party at our home, inviting close friends, colleagues, and her boss, Marcus Caldwell, the firm's managing partner. I spent the entire afternoon prepping, polishing the house to perfection, chilling fine wine, and slipping into a charcoal suit that hadn't seen daylight in years. Everything needed to be flawless for her. When Elena appeared at the top of the stairs, the room seemed to stop. She wore a deep crimson dress, simple in design but stunning in effect. It wrapped around her figure in a way that was both elegant and bold, making it impossible not to stare. I certainly couldn't look away. She noticed, flashing a teasing smile as she smoothed the fabric with her palms. "Too much?" she asked, arching an eyebrow. "Not at all," I replied, my voice low. "You look perfect." For a while everything was perfect. The house radiated warmth. Wine flowed, conversation sparkled, and each toast felt like a promise of better days ahead. I stayed back, content to watch Elena shine in her moment of glory. She had earned it. But then everything changed swiftly and sharply. Marcus stood from his seat, holding his glass with a lazy grip, a smirk curling at the corners of his mouth. The room quieted, expecting another toast, something witty or heartfelt to cap the night. Instead, his words cleaved through the air like a blade. "Liam," he said, raising his glass toward me with a mocking tilt. "You must know exactly how Elena secured that promotion." There was a pause. Heavy, suffocating. A few nervous laughs fluttered around the room, uncertain if this was some ill-timed joke. But Marcus's gaze stayed locked on me, his grin widening as he continued. "That red dress she wore to the office last week. Yeah, that one stopped everyone in their tracks." He let out a sharp, cutting laugh, harsh and grating, the kind that prickles your skin. Silence fell. Faces froze, some in shock, others in thinly veiled curiosity. I sat there, numb, trying to convince myself he was drunk, just an idiot going too far with a joke. But Marcus wasn't done. He leaned forward slightly, his words venomous. "Honestly, Liam, she could wear a paper bag and still command the room. You're a lucky man. Is loyal. But between us," he chuckled darkly, "for one night, I seriously considered doubling her salary." The room felt like it had been drained of oxygen. The soft background music seemed to fade into nothingness. All eyes turned to me. But I couldn't tear mine away from Marcus. Elena's face had gone pale. Her lips trembled, but no words escaped. She looked as stunned as I was. Whether by his audacity or the exposure, I couldn't tell. I felt the wine glass in my hand, the fragile stem digging into my palm as my grip tightened. Then, without thinking, I was on my feet. 3 strides across the room, and I brought the glass crashing against Marcus's head. The sound, shattering glass and the dull thud of impact, rang out sharp and final. Gasps erupted around us. Someone shrieked as Marcus stumbled back, clutching his bleeding temple, a thin red line trailing down his face. I didn't flinch. I simply pointed to the door, my voice cold and steady. "Get out." Marcus, too stunned to fight back, staggered toward the exit, his face burning with humiliation. He didn't argue. He knew better. The others followed, awkward and silent, heads bowed as they slipped out one by one, leaving only an oppressive quiet behind. When the door finally shut, I turned to Elena. My hands were still shaking. "You're not going back there," I said, my words hard and unwavering. She stared at me, her expression tangled, shock, fear, defiance. "It wasn't my fault, Liam," she said, her voice cracking. "I don't care," I snapped. If you step foot in that place again, we're done. The next morning, I woke to the sound of the iron hissing. Elena stood by the dresser, smoothing out a blouse, her face calm, her body tense, as if the previous night hadn't happened. "Don't do this," I said, my voice softer now, almost pleading. She didn't look at me. "I need that job." I stepped closer, my frustration clawing at my throat. "If you walk out that door," I warned, "it's over." Our argument ignited from there. Anger, tears, words hurled like knives. She defended Marcus's behavior, claiming he was just drunk and out of line, that it wasn't worth ruining everything. But I saw something else in her eyes, fear. Fear not just of losing her job, but of losing the power and validation that came with it. I couldn't stay. I grabbed my keys and walked out, leaving the house behind to clear my head. When I returned that evening, the house was quiet. Elena sat on the couch, her eyes red and swollen, staring blankly ahead. "He fired me," she whispered. Marcus, bruised and bandaged, had fired her that morning. No severance, no explanation beyond a brief, cutting dismissal. Just like that, her career at the firm was over. I hadn't wanted it to end this way, but somewhere deep inside I felt relieved. Maybe now she would finally see what I had seen all along, that staying under that man's control wasn't just dangerous. It was toxic, slowly corroding her dignity and spirit. Weeks have passed since that night. Elena has been searching for work, sending resumes, attending interviews. There's a different look in her eyes now. Less pride, more humility, but also something else. Clarity. A fire that wasn't there before. That night stripped away all illusions, for both of us. It wasn't just about Marcus's words. It was about choices, about what we tolerate, what we defend, and ultimately what we're willing to lose in the name of ambition. And maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something more honest between us.